Hello, my name is Maree, and I am the founder of the Wisdom of Love Academy. Who is right and who is wrong? This is the old mindset where we think that someone is right and so the other person must be wrong. We talk about fake news where they distort the facts or even make up facts to distort our beliefs. But in reality, there is no truth, only perspectives. When we seek to understand, we look at the different perspectives. Every person has a story, and they view the world through their perspective. When you judge someone, you are seeing them through your perspective. Does this viewpoint come from fear, tolerance, compassion, or are you projecting your own story onto theirs? Often we advise a friend or loved one about something they are facing. But do we see it from their perspective? Or are we imposing our own beliefs onto them? Did we raise our children with tolerance, love, and understanding? Or did we influence them with our biases? I often hear my mother's voice in my head and her fears that she imposed upon me. She was from a different generation with different beliefs, but her voice still echoes in my head. With each generation, we gain more freedom as we let go of the strict norms of the past. When we look back, we are horrified at some of the things our ancestors believed and did to each other. There was burning of witches, slavery, genocides, and oppression of women and minority groups. Basically, there was punishment for being different to the mainstream ideology. But when people rebel, we have to ask why. Why does someone lash out? From their perspective, they are fighting back. But were they given the truth or told lies? Were they manipulated and controlled by dark agendas? Or were they doing what they could to stand up for their beliefs? What is the difference between the IRA and the French Resistance? Both were fighting back when their country was invaded. Both used bombs and assassinations to fight their war. And yet one was demonized whilst the other was heroes. Does the historian get to choose who is right or wrong? When we listen to political rhetoric, we must ask, what is the truth? If you listen, you will hear the emotional manipulation, persuasive language, and glossing over of facts. This is a sales pitch to sell you a story. From their perspective, they need compliant people who will not interfere with what they want to do. Then you listen to the opposition. Again, more sales pitch, telling you why the first group is wrong. Who is right and who is wrong? Neither. They are both using different perspectives to gain market share of the opinions. It is not about reality. It is a show to generate popularity and avoid losing market share. To move into the truth, we need to go beyond the rhetoric and look at the agendas. Who gains most from what they are selling? What are the influencers, lobbyists, secret agendas behind every story? There are plenty of documentaries on YouTube explaining hidden agendas. Are they all true without a hidden agenda of their own? Are they a different perspective, and can we trust it? No perspective can be trusted as absolute truth. At a traffic accident, each person will see and relate the accident through their own perspective. It is only combining the different perspectives that you start to see the possible truth. Some will conflict, others will correlate. Some will be too detailed to be true, whilst others will be too vague. Life is about experiences, observing the different perspectives and finding wisdom through this. We need to understand the different perspectives and why people did this. Instead of judging and blaming, we should be asking, what brought that person to this point? It is the same for terrorist acts. What brought the person to this point? Were they indoctrinated with false beliefs? Were they pushed to the point where this was their only way of fighting back? What is happening in their world that they needed to go this far? As we sit back and watch the news regarding wars and conflicts as entertainment, people are suffering. Whilst political leaders fight over resources and rights, people's homes and livelihoods are being destroyed. As we admire the new weapons they use to destroy cities from remote operation centres, Hundreds of years of culture is wiped out, never to be seen again. What right does one person have to decide that a life is no longer worthy of living? What perspective could ever justify destroying a city to prove a point to another country? How did these decision makers get to this point, thinking they were gods that could destroy at their whim? Every war, bombing, assassination can be justified within a perspective. But is that explanation good enough for the person who had their life cut short? We need to measure every decision from the perspective of the people who were impacted the most. Sometimes we need to make hard decisions, but when they are made with love and compassion, they are easy to make. Life is a journey. Many people will live difficult lives to show us that perspective. Others will live easy lives, showing us their perspective. All are valid. We learn from their experiences. Some may sacrifice themselves to help us take action. Without martyrs, villains and heroes, we do not learn. They are part of our stories, but we need to explore every story to learn the perspectives. Why does someone end up in prison? What circumstances put them there? Why does the number of prisoners keep increasing? We are not observing and learning when we fail to address the root cause. Why is mental health problems increasing? What is the root cause? Every person will have a different story, but many have similar root causes. By learning their perspective, we start to see the patterns that took them down that path. In therapy, healing only begins when we address the root cause. Was there misunderstanding, mistreatment, conditioning, or circumstances that made the person feel this way? We need to listen and understand their perspective to be able to help them. Perhaps their feelings are valid and we have ignored them. Perhaps we are the ones that have been indoctrinated. Slavery only existed because we believed that not all people were equal. Terrorists would not exist if there were no invasions and people could live in their own homes in peace. Is this why we are afraid of hearing other perspectives? Will it challenge our beliefs and show that we have been harming others? Can we face the truth that we are not perfect and may be at fault? Can we accept that we may not be superior to others, but in fact the criminal who took away their rights? How many people gained wealth from stealing and harming others? Were profits built on ethical behaviour or deception? Were employees treated fairly or used and abused? When we change our perspective, we see a different story. A person is no longer admirable or worthy of respect if they misuse their power or wealth. The old authoritarian mindset allowed people to misuse and abuse their power, and we were still conditioned to treat them with respect. But if we change our mindset and respect the people who live ethically and with compassion, then we would refuse to support many of the leaders in the world today. Listen to the justifications and see them from the perspective of the people they harm. Is it enough reason to commit those crimes? Does stealing from the wealthy to feed a starving family seem reasonable? Does destroying people's homes and killing thousands to steal resources for a company seem reasonable? It is all perspectives. But at the end of the day, we need to ask, can we do this better? Why do we need to follow stories of pain and suffering for our existence? Why cannot we change the root cause of all the problems and make life kinder and more hopeful for people? Human trafficking and slavery have existed for thousands of years. People in power have sold men, women, and children into slave labour and prostitution ever since the patriarchy began. What perspective can ever justify this? We must change our mindset to treat everyone equally. We can do this when we see through the perspectives of those that have been harmed. Think of the child that grows up in violence and poverty, maybe even slavery. What future do they have? How do they feel when they see the rich driving their fancy cars and living in luxury? What hope do they have to get an education and job to support themselves? Think of the child that is sexually abused from their earliest memories, sold to others and treated like garbage. Think of the child that hides under the bed in fear whilst the drug addict parent parties in the next room with other addicts. How do they view their lives? Were they given a fair chance? Think of the child that grows up without love, treated as a projection of the parents who demanded perfection. Think of the child that gets beaten and humiliated by the narcissist at home and paraded around in public as the perfect child of the important parent. It is only by listening and seeking to understand other perspectives that we can find some sense of truth. There is no real truth. There are only perspectives, and our wisdom is gained from seeing as many perspectives as we can. But we only want to focus on the good perspectives, and this makes us ignore the fate of those who are suffering. We need to go into the suffering and pain of this world to heal it. We need to have compassion and understanding to find the root cause. We cannot listen to the political propaganda, the marketing sales pitch anymore. We must ask the hard questions. Why does this still exist in a world that has the resources to change things? Why do we have poverty, homelessness, crime, slavery, human trafficking, poor health, when we have so much wealth? Why is there not more harmony and balance in the use of our combined resources? We are a species that thrives or dies together. We explore the different stories as individuals, but we need to combine these perspectives to understand and develop wisdom. Wisdom is not being rich whilst others suffer. It is not dog eat dog or competition. It is working as a collective to solve our problems and create abundance. We need to ask why. What brought us to this point? Instead of judging and blaming, we need to unravel the stories and perspectives so that we can find a better way of doing things. This is the way of the new mindset. There is no place for judgment, blame, shame, or guilt. They are words that belong to the patriarchy. Let go of your judgments and seek to understand. Let go of your fears and help find the solutions so that everyone can live in peace and abundance. Use your discernment to spot the lies, red flags, emotional and persuasive dialogue. Resist when you are being manipulated and controlled. Use your power to demand better, to walk away from those who won't show respect, and to help those who need your support. Together, we create the collective that will save our species and bring us back into harmony and balance. But there is a lot of work ahead of us, so roll up your sleeves and be prepared to do the hard work of restoring our humanity. If you would like to learn more about the new mindset, go to my Wisdom of Love Academy, where I have courses to help you make the transition. The portal to the new world is open, and these courses will help you prepare to move through this portal into the new world. Details are in the description below. Feel free to leave your comments and ask questions that I can answer in future episodes. If you like this content, share it with others, like and subscribe so that more people can join us in the new world.